We now introduce a new concept which is known as price ceiling. Now these price ceilings, they remember, in addition to indirect taxes and subsidies, these price ceilings are the third method or third tool with which the government can interfere in the products market. So we are still continuing on the theme of government interference in the microeconomy. Now these price ceilings, they are much more sort of direct and visible way in which the government interferes in a certain product's market. And the way it works is that if the government simply thinks or believes that the price of a certain product is unfairly or unreasonably too high, that is, the product is, if the government believes, too expensive, then in order to help the consumers, in order to make this product more affordable for the consumers, the government sometimes, with very good intentions for the consumers, may just jump in and use its authority as the government to put an upper limit on the price that can be charged for the product. Now these price ceilings on basic necessities such as bread or rice or sugar or tea or oil, so these are all things that a common poor person uses, and that is where the government, if it feels that the market price is too high, the government would jump in, interfere by putting a price ceiling. So the government might put a price ceiling on petrol, which means that initially if the price of petrol is 150 rupees and the government comes in and puts a price ceiling of 75 rupees, and then obviously the consumer should be happy, because the government in a very sort of visible way is trying to help the consumers, making the product cheap for them by putting a price ceiling of 75 rupees. Although it seems as if it's a very good way of helping the consumers, these price ceilings, they usually don't succeed in helping the poor people in the society. Rather, they create a lot of problems for the consumers. So let me give you the intuition behind what happens after a price ceiling has been given by a government. So let's assume that there is a market for some product. Let's just call it product A. It can be any product. And let's assume that initially this market is in equilibrium at a price of 150 rupees per unit. Now, in equilibrium that the market, we assume, always automatically reaches, which we say is the beauty of the market, is that this equilibrium price will automatically lead to a situation where the total quantity demanded, or you can say the total number of consumers who want to buy this product, is exactly equal to the total quantity supplied, or you can say the total producers who are willing and able to sell this product. So the market, initially a free market, will be in an equilibrium. Now, if the government comes in and places a price ceiling of, let's say, 75 rupees on this product, then the government interference is suddenly making this product a lot more cheap, which simply tells us that if anything suddenly becomes much more cheap, then consumers will rush into the market. There will be more consumers who want to buy this product since it's cheaper, whereas these producers, they will rush out of the market. There will be fewer producers who will still be willing and willing to supply this product in the market. Why? Because the government is forcing them to sell it at a lower price of 75. And the result, therefore, is clearly going to be that there will be a shortage that will be created in the market of the product on which a price ceiling is leveled. So let me write that down over here. Shortage, that is the short result of putting a price ceiling on any product. It will lead to a shortage. And due to the shortage, you will start seeing long queues outside the shops trying to sell this product on whom the price ceiling has been leveled. Now, this is exactly what happened during the infamous oil crisis of the 1970s in the USA. The US government had decided to put a price ceiling, an upper price limit on the price of petrol, and immediately what happened was that a lot of petrol pumps closed, a lot of petrol pumps started selling less fuel than before, that is, producers started leaving the market, and there were a lot of people who wanted to buy more of this cheaper oil, and therefore there were shortages and there were long queues. So all these pictures of petrol pumps are closed, of shortages, of long queues are from that 1970s oil crisis, which was simply a government placing a price ceiling on this particular product, in this case petrol. So there are always going to be shortages, there are always going to be queues. In a free market, if you have a shortage, then you don't see queues, because in a free market, given a shortage in the market, the price will start to increase, and that will ration out or kick out some of these consumers who have suddenly come into this market. So on the other hand, when the price it will increase in a free market given a shortage, it will give an incentive to these producers to make more of this particular product, and that will get rid overall of this shortage. There will be consumers who leave the market, producers will start supplying more, and you will get rid of a shortage. So by putting a price ceiling, you are basically stopping or blocking the free market's price mechanism to work and do what it does when there is a shortage. And that is why the shortage exists. It continues, and then you see long queues. Now, Q, you can say, is a non-price rationing mechanism. That is, if you are not allowing the price to decide who gets this product given a shortage, and you don't allow the price to play its role of rationing out excess consumers, then some other rationing mechanism has to develop, and Q is one such rationing mechanism. That look, there are very few producers who are left in the market, and there are more consumers who have entered the market. So there is limited supply. It has to be distributed or rationed to these consumers. So who gets it? Well, make a queue. And whoever is stubborn enough, whoever has the greatest stamina to bear the problems of standing and waiting in the queues, are the ones who are going to get this product. So queues are a mechanism instead of prices which are rationing out these excess consumers. Or I should say, queues are trying to play that rationing role. But these queues may continue to exist, and they are not a very efficient way, and therefore they don't succeed in sort of getting rid of this shortage. There is always this continuing imbalance between more consumers and less producers in the market on where the price ceiling has developed. And therefore, when the situation continues, then comes the worst outcome and the worst consequence of a price ceiling. There develops a black market of the product on which the price ceiling has been levied. Now, black market means when people illegally, against the government orders, they go to the producers. Some rich consumers, let's assume one of these richer consumers, go to this producer and tells them that, look, I'm really trying and not finding this product in the market. Now I'm willing to offer you, let's say, 200 rupees. I know the government doesn't allow us to trade this product at a price of more than 75, but illegally, hidden away from the government, under the table, I will pay you 200 rupees and you just reserve whatever you have for me and my family and so on and so forth. So this is where the black market, the hidden market, the illegal market for this product will develop. And the problem with this black market is that, look, you as a government gave a price ceiling because you wanted to make a certain product more affordable for the poor segment of the society, for the poor people in the society. But in this black market that has been created, when the supply is even less than what it used to be, then who is getting hold of this supply? The rich people who can offer illegally a very high price, or perhaps the influential people or people who have a lot of connections, so they can sort of somehow reserve this limited supply for themselves, which tells us that in this black market, the helpless poor consumers who don't have the money or the power or the influence, the very target of a price ceiling's assistance, they are the very people who will be left out from this black market. So they will end up, in fact, getting no product at all. So the government wanted that they end up getting this product at a cheaper price, but they end up in a situation where they don't get the product at all. So you see, price ceilings, they fail miserably to help the consumers. And that's not all. They also have other issues. Price controls, remember, they will always lead to a worsening of the quality of the product. And that again is very simple to see. You see, if you tell the producers that you cannot charge 150, the going equilibrium price, but you have to charge a load price, then they really don't have any incentive to put in the effort to improve the quality or give good after sales services. And on top of that, since this price ceilings, they create a shortage. It means there are significantly large number of consumers that are your potential customers, and since there are very few people who are still willing to sell this product, it means basically that as a producer, you will be easily able to find somebody who is willing to buy your product. So it's not difficult to sell your products. So that means you will not really focus or care about giving great quality or great after sales services. And it keeps on getting worse because in the long term, as time goes on, if the government maintains this price ceiling at 75 rupees, if the government sort of artificially forces a depressed price, a lower price than the free market equilibrium, then all of these problems, these shortages and black markets and deterioration in quality, this will get worse. Why? because as time goes by, some of these producers who initially stayed in the market and continue to sell apples or whatever product this is, they will be fed up with being forced to sell their product at a fixed lower price, and therefore they will with time try to find alternatives. They will find some other product that they can sell and earn a living, and therefore in the long term it is safe to assume that more and more producers will leave the market. So this shortage will therefore get even worse. The skews and black markets therefore will get even worse. So always remember from this discussion that in your A-level exam you will see in the past paper a very frequent and very often repeated question is that do price ceilings, do they succeed in achieving the aim of helping the poor consumers in the society? And this whole discussion is the analysis part to that answer, that no, these price ceilings, they don't work. The consumers, they want to buy much more of this cheaper product. The producers, they won't want to sell it. So there are shortages, there are queues, black markets. In the black markets, the poor people, they lose out the most. There is a worsening of quality and everything gets worse in the long term. So price ceilings, they often, and we can say that almost all the time, price ceilings, they fail and they create all of these problems. Now in the next video, we will cover all of this, that a price ceiling creates a shortage and it leads to queues and so on and so forth. But we will show this through a usual and typical graph of demand and supply. So in the answer to your essay questions, just add to this analysis the graphical way of showing the shortage and etc.